Hey there, so this is the follow-up video to the newsletter post and blog post about movement and why it's important for our health and everything like that. So I just wanted to show you some quick movements or functional things that we should be able to do kind of in our daily life, things that we don't get to do enough of because we're sitting so often. So I think if you could just inject a few of these movements into your daily life, break up that sitting pattern a little bit, you can increase your health, increase your flexibility, increase your function, and really decrease pain and do a lot for yourself. So just pick any one or two or any of these movements any day just to kind of break things up throughout the day, and I think you'll find some good benefits from it. So if you need modifications for any of these things, because sometimes people can't do all of this stuff right away, please do let me know the next time you're in for a visit and we can talk about them. And yeah, so here we go. So the first one that I really like is a squat. A lot of people do squats throughout the day, but we kind of have a tendency to not do them correctly. So I want to go over a few squat form things and show you guys what I think we should be doing with a squat. So the first thing to do is to get in a good starting position. That's with legs just underneath the hips here. And what we're going to try and do is just make our pelvis just drop straight towards the ground. So a lot of times people want to really control this thing and drop it out, go back, and they have a tendency to not really get all the way to their full depth. They feel really stiff and uncomfortable. So what we can do is just try and take the handbrakes off a little bit and just kind of fall into a lower and lower position, getting deeper and deeper like this all the way down. What we want to make sure that we're doing is kind of torquing our feet down into the ground so that we're creating some activity here in the glutes that will let us be stable as we come down to the bottom of our squat. So a lot of times people won't have full depth, so they'll get stuck, here or even, way up here, which is fine. But what I want you to do is just make sure, if that's as low as you can get, to just hang out there, but stay in good form. We want to keep the chest up. Ideally, what we want to be able to do is get the hips just below the knee crease. Anything after that is, bonus stuff. So keep an eye on that and just kind of work wherever you have range of motion. So if you have to get like this to be down this far, but you can be here but have your chest up, I would prefer you stay here and kind of work in this motion. Just do some pulses and things until you feel like you can't really do it anymore. And then just work on it day after day after day, and eventually you should start to get lower and lower as you find your balance point. Once we get into these positions here too, you can play with this balance point by sort of rocking back and forth on your heels and finding where you may fall. We don't want to be so far forward we've got our heels up. We don't want to be so far back that we feel like we're going to fall back, but we want to try and find that balance point here. So that's about squatting. That's a good motion to throw into the day. The other one that I like to do is lunging. So what we want to do is just lunge out and then come back up, and then we can switch over to the other side so we're getting nice and balanced. Things to look for here are to make sure that the knee is not going way too far out or way too far in, and it's also not going too far forward. So what we're looking for is knee just about there, and then back up. We don't want to see knee coming out here. So we can alternate these things by just going back and forth. We can also do a star pattern lunge where we have lines on the ground that we try and go out to different points. And then we can also do reverse lunges where we're going backwards into it. So any combination of those things is a great way to go. Next thing I would work on, as you can tell I'm getting kind of out of breath, is planking. So we can come all the way down here. We want to make sure that our butt is nice and low. We squeeze the glutes in, and that we're holding this here as long as we can. And then we can switch to a side plank. We can switch to a plank on the other side. And then while we're down here, we can also do push-ups. The thing about push-ups is kind of the same as our squat. We want to try and think about creating some torque and not letting our elbows get really too far out, because that can be damaging too. So doing push-ups with arms really wide is not such a good idea. So you want to try and keep them in close, and then twist down in the ground and try and make the pits of your armpit or your elbows go forward towards the wall in front of you. So we're just going to be here, twist them out, down, and up. So there's a couple good ones. Another one to work on is our single leg standing. So, need to catch my breath. Okay. So what we're going to do is just come up here, knee up to hip height. We want to look for, if you need to be in a mirror, is to make sure that we're not hiking our hips in either direction, and that we can keep a nice stable base here. When you can hold this here for about 20 seconds or so, you can try it with your eyes closed. And then when that gets really easy, You can throw a pillow or something under your foot to make it a little bit harder. So switch that in throughout the day as well. Okay, and the last thing I want to show you guys is just a handstand hold, which is good for our shoulders here. What we can do is just slightly kick up against the wall and hold that there. It's the same sort of thing as a plank. We just want to make sure that we're not arching our back a whole lot, that we're staying up flat against the wall here. And you just hold it until you feel like you can't hold it anymore. So if you can keep track of how long you can do these things, you can just see if you improve from week to week. So those are some great movements that I like. Again, just pick some of them, to go through, pick one or two, do a Tabata style workout with them, which is a great way to get some cardio workout. And then you can just keep moving throughout your day. If you have any questions about any of these movements, again, bring it up at your next appointment or let me know, and I'd be glad to help you out. Take it easy.